Will the Russian occupants blow up the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant when they flee from the left bank to the Crimea? Such a question was asked by different people in different publications. I will give you some figures to understand the expediency of such an action, as well as bring understanding to any other nuclear scaremongering on the part of Russia. But before explaining about the nuclear power plant, it is necessary to understand what forces and means the occupants have deployed in the south of Ukraine. On the left bank of the Kherson region, and in the occupied part of Zaporizhzhia region, they have concentrated up to 150,000 personnel. At the same time, this number of forces is still insufficient to hold territory. The worst situation the enemy has with holding territory in the defenses in the Kherson region. There they have a shortage of forces along the front line, as well as a lack of means according to the staffing. But most importantly, the situation in the temporarily occupied Crimea is even worse. No more than 25 combat-ready battalion tactical groups are stationed there. Therefore, in case of activation of some actions in the south, the main part of this 150,000 strong mass will rush to the Crimea in panic, thus saturating it with resources. In particular, why I am so sure that the occupants will flee from the south and will not be able to hold the defense, because they have trenches there and a lot of people. In the current state, the occupants' BTGs on the left bank of the Kherson region, and in the Zaporizhzhia region are able to hold an average of 1 kilometer of front each in defense. Thus the occupants need 256 BTGs or 155,000 personnel to hold Kherson bridgehead in defense. In turn, in Zaporizhzhia region they must concentrate 200 BTGs or 120,000 people to hold in the defense. Therefore we conclude that the adversary requires 275,000 manpower to hold the south in defense, with the actual number of 150,000, which is almost twofold less. Not to mention the incomplete equipment of these BTGs. The enemy has a critical resource shortage. At the same time, part of the available resource in the south serves the Donetsk region, and the potential of this group should be considered even lower than voiced. In fact, all of the above raises the question. Trenches have been dug, defensive lines erected, but who will hold this defense? Especially when the first line of defense is broken through, and the rest will follow. And they will all run to the Crimea, where the next phase will begin, but about that later. So, let's imagine they blow up the nuclear power plant, what then? Then the Russian side loses 150,000 conditionally combat-ready units in an extremely short period of time. They will simply not be able to hold the south, let alone hold Crimea. At the same time, a nuclear terrorist act will be committed, which is unprecedented in history, which, in turn, will activate the international military machine to subdue the nuclear terrorist. Such a terrorist attack could well activate NATO's Article 5 of collective security. In its turn, Russia will not have the resources to repulse NATO's counter-terrorist operation. Therefore, the fleeing occupiers will not carry out any subversion of nuclear power plant. The Russian command still wants to postpone the moment of total defeat, hopefully twitching in convulsions for 6 months to a year defending Crimea.